Thank you, Mr. Gehring and members of the band. You guys can go ahead and take a seat. Good morning. On behalf of the Board of Education, the faculty and staff of PPHS, and the graduating class of 2024, I'd like to welcome you to Pretty Prairie High School. This is a big day for our seniors and their families, so we're honored to have you with us. I'd first like to express Mr. Hedrick's sentiments of congratulations to our graduates and their families as he's in Manhattan today with his daughter graduating from K-State. I know we all share in thanking you guys for sharing your talents and for all the memories that we've got to be a part of the last 4 years. Our graduates would like to take a moment and recognize their teachers and coaches. So if you have taught or been a coach or sponsor for any of these graduates in kindergarten through 12th grade, Sunday school, Awana, Good News, rec teams, high school teams, summer teams, clubs, or organizations, would you please stand and be recognized by our graduates? Thank you for the role that you played in making sure this group of young adults achieved this milestone. Okay, let's get to it. I have the honor of introducing our graduation speaker, Mr. John Johnson. After 32 years of teaching and coaching for Pretty Prairie, Mr. Johnson is performing one of his last duties by delivering a 30-minute speech for us today. I'm kidding. He's actually promised that it will be somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes, so. John is a proud graduate of Council Grove High School. I won't say what year. He earned his bachelor's degree from Emporia State University and his master's degree from Friends University. He has coached everything from pole vaulters to basketball players and has been the proud sponsor of our Scholars Bowl team and National Honor Society. He's also attended more high school proms than anyone ever should as a class sponsor for us. Mr. Johnson has been a consistent presence in our school and is always a favorite amongst our kids and staff. He's fun-loving, kind-hearted, always ready to laugh, and knows the answer to every trivia question. Side note, he does not know the answer to every Family Feud question. In fact, at our staff winter trivia party, his team was planning on a championship three-peat, and then we threw in Family Feud after every trivia round. And not only did Mr. Johnson's team not win, they came in dead last because of it. I will share this last bit of trivia in honor of John. He is only the second teacher to occupy the social studies classroom in PPHS for 52 years. John, we are going to miss you terribly. We will miss everything, I guess, except your Chicago Cubs bucket hat. But everything else, we will miss him. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. John Johnson.
Well, at least I'm not a Cardinals fan, so sorry. All right. I would like to welcome the families and friends of the class of 2024. It is an honor to be giving the commencement address. Some may wonder what my qualifications are to be the speaker at this important event, and so do I. But if I was to guess, one would be the fact that I am finishing up my final year of teaching at PPHS. Or the real reason may be that the students wanted someone who won't talk that long, so they picked me instead of Scott Gehring. So, all right. It is questionable, though, to give an open microphone to a guy on his way out. I could say a lot of things. Stories about these students, or ones about their parents, who are former students, who are also now staff. Looking at you, James White. Where are you at? All right. So, anyway, too many for allotted time. I better move on. As the days widen out, though, on my career at PPHS, it is natural to look back and realize how much has changed. In March of 1992, my mom gave me a message to call PPHS about scheduling an interview. So from the phone on the wall in the kitchen, yes, I'm old, all right, I called, got it arranged. Then I sat down and did the math for mileage for my paper Kansas road map, added up the miles between each city along the way, and then on interview day got suited up and made the drive towards Pretty Prairie. 3-ish hours away because the speed limit was 55 on all major highways everywhere. It was horrible. All right, anyway, and sure enough, outside of Hutchinson, 2+ hours in, I get pulled over for doing 62 in a 55 zone. The officer gets my papers, asks where I'm going. I tell him I am on my way for a teaching job interview at Pretty Prairie. He nods, goes back to his car. I'm dreading, a ticket. And he returns with a warning and also another warning, turns out. Here's a warning ticket. I was a teacher once, and you're going to need to save all the money you can. So I guess not everything has changed. So now the standard thing to do for a graduation speaker, and I think it is a law, is to give graduating seniors some words of wisdom. So in the interest of time, my list will be kept to 5. Number 1, if you have to borrow money, borrow from your parents. They don't expect it back. Number 2, be sure to laugh every day. The old saying, laughter is the best medicine, rings true when you see a famous comedian like Carl Reiner, lived to be 98, and you have a comedy producer named Norman Lear, make it all the way to 101. Norman Lear did All in the Family and The Jeffersons. So seniors, those 2 guys were popular back in the day, like the bee's knees, okay? I'm sorry, they were bussin'. Okay. All right. Number 3, piece of advice. If at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. But on efforts to improve your skills in whatever field you choose, keep working at it, because your success will lead to better paying jobs and the ability to move out of your parents' home. They love you, but there comes a time for you to be just a guest visitor once in a while. All right. Number 4, these final 2, these seniors have already heard earlier this week, but for 30+ years I've used these with each group of seniors, and I believe they're the best advice. Number 1, if you do go to college or VOTEC, don't waste your money by having too good of time at that first semester of college. All right, you know what I mean, okay? Don't miss classes, flunk out. Anymore, that could be up to a $5,000 to $10,000 dollars wasted, and then with loan interest, dough. All right, it's also a lot of dough. All right, and finally, Confucius said, choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. It is not absolutely true, but I would estimate for me 95% of my days at PPHS have been great, and that's an A on the old grading scale. So, I'm very happy about that. And also, I know we have a couple students coming up to roast me here in a second, so let me just get it started with, what do you call 10 rabbits dancing backwards? A receding hairline. Right. Finally, though, thanks to the class of 2024. You have been a fun group of seniors to finish up with, and good luck in all your endeavors. Johnson out.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We will now recognize our honor students. Please welcome our counselor, Mrs. Jenny Harbaugh.
Yes, honor students are my thing. So the first ones we are going to recognize are those who have a cumulative GPA of 3.5 or higher throughout high school, which is no small feat. So if the following would please stand to be recognized. Hazen Willis, James White, Sarah Ulrich, Brogan Stuckey, Noah Perry, Cale Johnson, Jolie Harbaugh, and Leah Detter. The others I'd like to point out to you are members of the National Honor Society, and they are in the gold and blue cords. I forgot to tell you, sorry, GPA kids were silver and white. Okay, so my National Honor Society kids, if you could stand to be recognized, please. Hazen Willis, James White, Brogan Stuckey, Blaine Rogers, Noah Perry, Cale Johnson, Jolie Harbaugh, and Leah Detter. And next joining us, I believe, Tambra Stuckey will be telling you who received the community scholarships at the senior banquet this week. So please welcome Tambra.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. This is a class that we're really proud of. Community scholarships were awarded at the Senior Assembly earlier this week. Because these awards are only made possible by a supportive community, we want the community to be able to recognize them as well. If the students will please stand as their names and awards are read. Noah Perry, Valedictorian, Quiet Place Singers Award, and the Darrell Dugan Math Award. Leah Detter, Salutatorian, Bruce Rand Female Scholarship Athlete, and the Paula Krause Hilbert Nursing Award. Jolie Harbaugh, the W.W. and Jean Graber Award, and the Paula Krause Hilbert Nursing Award. Hazen Willis, the Vernon Krause Award, the Mary Alice Graber Founders Award, Cale Johnson, the Jeremiah Smith Award, James White III, the Bruce Moran Senior Scholar Athlete Award, the Kenton Warner Award, and the William and Madeline Crosley Award. Brogan Stuckey, the Vernon Krause Award, and the Isaiah Salmons Award. And finally, Blaine Rogers, the Isaiah Salmons Award and the Mary Alice Graber Founders Award. Congratulations to all of you. Good luck and go make Pretty Prairie proud.
Our salutatorian this year is a recognized honor student and is a 3-year member of the National Honor Society. She's been involved in many activities, including volleyball, basketball, track and field, cheerleading, student council, and Bulldog Buddies. She was a member of our state runs in basketball, volleyball, and cheerleading. She's been a warrior for school spirit and served on the STUCO executive team her senior year. Her future plans are to attend Hutchinson Community College to major in nursing. Please help me welcome our salutatorian, Leah Detter.
Good morning. Welcome, faculty, staff, friends, family, and fellow students of the class of 2024. Congratulations. We made it to the end of one journey and the beginning of our next big journey called life. I am extremely honored and grateful to be standing here giving this speech today. You are in luck, though, because I only get one chance to do this speech. So sorry, Mr. Gearing, for making you listen to my speech 13 times each last year for my college speech class. I promise I have improved since then. I would like to thank all our families and friends and anyone else that has supported us throughout our entire journey. We're extremely grateful for everything you have done and the sacrifices you have made, not only for us to be here today, but to also help us navigate this crazy life. I would also like to thank all the dedicated teachers and staff who had the opportunity to share their knowledge with us along the way. Your guidance and support has been crucial for each and every one of us to reach this moment. In addition, there are many community members who showed up each and every game, win or lose. They cheered us on. I may not have gotten the chance to thank you after the game, but thank you for supporting us in everything we do. It really means a lot to have people who are there cheering you on, not just in athletics, but in life as well. What a journey we have had to make it to this day. It's crazy to think how fast 13 years went by. I can still remember when Cale threw up on the first day of pre-K, or when Jolie got proposed to by Wyatt in kindergarten. They did have to call off that engagement, unfortunately. 14 of us have stuck it out since the very beginning of kindergarten. The boys have always outnumbered the girls by quite a bit, if you couldn't tell. At one point, we were down to just 3 girls. Jolie and I learned really quickly how to hold our own against the overwhelming amount of boys in the class, who have always liked to do the dumbest things possible. Like one time, they thought it was a good idea to have a kid hang on the spinning wheel and then have Blaine or Hazen jump on the other side so they'd fling around and hit the metal pole. This might have been fun and games for everyone except for Tate, who got the worst of it and shattered his arm. All I can remember is the shrieking screams I was able to hear on the other side of the playground. One of my favorite memories to this day happened back in 5th grade. You may get 2 versions of the story. It's really good. It was one of the most exciting field trips I think I've ever taken. This was the infamous bike trip to Cheney Lake. It seemed like the trip took place right after the Great Flood. It had rained for about 3 days straight right before we were supposed to leave. We were supposed to go on a 3-mile trail around just the main campsites. The trek started off on a bad note, and a couple of classmates had some troubles with their bikes, and it was extremely muddy and not good biking conditions. Unaware of our fellow classmates' troubles and the ultimate decision to end the trek, a few of us kept going, thinking the rest of the class would catch up. Nobody did. This group consisted of me, Noah, James, Tate, Brogan, and Keelan. I am not sure how far we went, but it seemed like we were going forever and we're never going to find our way home. There was water up to our waists, and at one point in time we were going in circles and didn't even notice until James started leaving markings along the trail. We then accepted our defeat, found a fallen trail by the shore, and ate our packed lunches like the lost little savages we were. All was well in the end, and we were found by Mrs. and Mr. Grubbs and were reunited with the rest of our class. Not sure how we managed to make it through high school. We ended our middle school education and began our high school years in COVID. Being online our freshman year may or may not have caused a few problems in our education. We don't really remember pre-algebra or general science. Nothing too serious for me except for my 1B in culinary essentials my freshman year. That still causes me sleepless nights to this day. Life is all about learning as you go. You live and you learn, right? Well, in my 13 or so years at Pretty Prairie, I have learned tons of useful information that I will definitely use throughout my entire life. So I'd like to share a few things I've learned throughout my entire high school career. First, I'd have to start with Mr. Matt Gearing. Besides all of my amazing math skills that I have hopefully retained, like the quadratic formula or slope-intercept form, which I haven't used since December, just saying, Mr. Gearing has taught me which Starburst flavor is my favorite, and I have used that information way more than the math lessons. Besides all the boring presidents and wars that I've learned in history, Mr. Johnson really showed me just how easily I can fall asleep in class. The only thing sometimes able to keep me awake was the reflection of myself that I'd see off your bald head. Honestly, Mr. Johnson, I think I can only remember one movie that you've shown, and that's because it was a Tom Cruise movie, and I'm pretty sure we watched it 3 times. Mr. Lee liked to prove to me every day that I really knew nothing about biology. He would purposefully ask me questions knowing I wouldn't know the answers just to shove it in my face. He would try to reteach every once in a while. Most of the time, I was not too fond of listening. I learned a lot this year in English Comp with Mr. Ray. The first semester Comp 1 class got the amazing opportunity to learn how I would describe my perfect man. I'm sure James is still upset to this day to find out he did not meet the right criteria. In Comp 2, I was the only girl in the class and learned really quickly and abruptly what the patriarchy was when I mistakenly asked a room full of guys, what even is the patriarchy? Yeah, I didn't win an argument for the rest of the year after that. I know personally that my least favorite part about graduating so far has been all the questions, like what are your plans for the future, where are you going to school, what are you majoring in, what's your career path? All the while, I'm just trying to make it to school on time by 9:45. I know it's great to have a plan for what you want to do, where you want to go, and what your next step will be, but it can all be extremely overwhelming. It is way more important to just keep moving forward. I heard a quote the other day that really stuck with me and relates to everything we're going through and can relate to everyone sitting in here today. It said, "Inch by inch, life's a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard." Life is extremely overwhelming and difficult for everyone, but if you can focus on the inch by inch instead of focusing on going yard by yard, it can be just that much easier. We are growing up and have grown up in such a tough environment that it is okay to be going inch by inch. Any movement forward is better than no movement at all. So instead of being worried about how far you're going or how long it'll take you to get there, just keep focusing on moving forward. Be patient, but persevere. Also, always remember that your path might not look like somebody else's. Neither one is more valid than the other. You never know what boulders they are moving aside each and every day to keep going. Finally, I'd like to leave you with some wise words from one of the most influential philosophers and poets of our time, Mr. Worldwide Pitbull. And as he would say, every day above ground is a great day. Remember that. Thank you.
Our valedictorian is a Regents Scholar and also a 3-year member of the National Honor Society. He's the recipient of the Kansas Governor's Scholar Award and plans to attend Kansas State University and major in biochemical engineering. While in high school, he participated in cross-country, track and field, and student council. He's also a very talented musician and has many state-level accolades for his saxophone playing. As a senior, he was part of the Stuco executive team. Please help me welcome our valedictorian, Noah Perry.
I'd like to say that's going to be a hard one to follow, Leah. Thank you for that. But regardless, good morning, and welcome to the Pretty Prairie Class of 2024's high school graduation ceremony. Today marks a pivotal moment in our lives, and we as a class would like to thank all of you for coming out and supporting us the same way you have for the last 13 or 14 years of our lives. As this year's valedictorian, it was my responsibility to write a speech that could, in some way, represent both me and my fellow classmates. And so naturally, I decided to wait until last night at 2 a.m. to finish writing the speech. At this point, is it even a shock, guys? All right. Regardless, though, over the next few minutes, I hope to show our genuine appreciation for the people who helped us get where we are today. Share some high school experience with people who are either too old to remember it or too young to have gone through it yet. And maybe by the end, impart all of you with some interesting words of wisdom. You may notice that I left out mentioning any specific stories, good times, or shared memories that we all have, and that is because it can be extremely difficult to fit those into a speech and still tell them to their full effect. So instead, I left that to someone a lot more qualified with public speaking than I am, so thank you, Leah, for taking that away from me. I don't need that. Moving forward, I think that many of my classmates will agree that the best part of school was not in the classroom. It was going to cross-country meets, football games, volleyball tournaments, basketball, track, golf, things where we were able to work as a team and compete against other schools. However, it doesn't end there. Activities like band, Scholars Bowl, the school play also helped get us through these last 4 years. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank every coach that has given up their own time for us and made the last 4 years bearable. I would especially like to thank Coach White for putting up with mine and James's shenanigans for the last 7 years of cross-country and track. So really, thank you, Coach White. Now, as much as we may hate to admit it, school really wasn't all that bad, especially when you were as lucky as my class was with the teachers we ended up with. I know at the time, going through it, things may have seemed difficult, but in the end we made it through. So now I'd like to take this time to thank our teachers for getting us where we are today. And it seems worth mentioning that we have one teacher in particular in this audience who realized that this class is as good as it gets and decided to bring his 50 or 60 years of teaching to an end just for us. I think we might need another round of applause for Mr. John Johnson for his last year. Yeah. We were so lucky to have a history teacher that was able to give us first-hand accounts of actual history. It really made it come alive. I'm sure it'll be strange for the underclassmen coming back next year to not see his bald head shining in the hallways, but I have faith that within the next year or two, Mr. Lee will be carrying on Mr. Johnson's very good tradition, shining through the hallways. But, in mostly seriousness, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Seeing as how a large part of this speech has had to do with our history teacher, I think it's only fitting that my little words of wisdom at the end come from history. Having been in track and cross country for many years, one of the people that I have heard a lot about is Let's see, Roger Bannister. I'd guess that maybe 10 people here know who that is. So for those of you who do not know, Roger Bannister is the man who broke the 4-minute mile in 1954. It's impressive, but that doesn't really apply to us here. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes, James. The more important part of this is that in the weeks and months following his record-breaking moment, more and more people started to break the 4-minute mile. And then after a few years, hundreds of people had done so. Now, humans didn't suddenly get faster, no. Instead, people broke through the barrier in their minds. The 4-minute mile had stood for years, becoming an obstacle for every runner. But once they saw what Bannister was capable of, they were able to accomplish something they could have sworn was impossible just a few weeks prior. The lesson here is pretty obvious. We are capable of more than we know. Now, you're probably going to hear more than enough inspiring stories today, and I can't let my classmates leave high school behind without a little dose of reality. So, one of my other heroes is a man named Robert Liston. He was a surgeon who lived in the 1800s, famous for being the fastest surgeon alive. Now, the average amputation takes around 2 to 3 hours to complete, so you may think he was able to do that in maybe half the time, maybe a bit less. I'm going to choke on this thing. But no, try 30 to 60 seconds per surgery. Robert Liston is also famous for having a 300% mortality rate in a single surgery, meaning more people than just the patient died. So from this, we can take away that it is okay to take life a little slower. Don't rush through things trying to cut corners. Enjoy every part of life, even when it seems dull or boring, because excitement is not always a positive thing. And for my final bit of wisdom, I'm going to be drawing on the New York Times. In 1903, they predicted that man would not invent a machine with the ability to fly for another 10 million years. 9 days later, the Wright brothers had their first successful flight. This goes to show that we have absolutely no idea what the future holds, especially now with how chaotic the world's become. But when I was thinking about this, I was reminded of something Mr. Ray told my class just before the final exam. It isn't a good thing or a bad thing. It is providing you with an opportunity. You have the opportunity to either use it to your advantage, or you have the opportunity to fail. That's not quite a direct quote, but it's close enough. The sentiment is something that I hope we can all take with us into our future. Everything in life should be seen as an opportunity. We don't decide when we get those, only how we use them. And so, to finally wrap up this speech, I would like to thank you all again for coming. But before I go, and while I can't believe I'm saying this, thank you, class of 2024, for all the memories we have made over the years. I want you to know that I am looking forward to seeing most of you again in the next chapters of our lives. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to welcome our choir. They will be performing the song Misty Morning, arranged by Carl Nygaard, Jr. Mr. Gehring will be directing today for Mrs. Gumble, and the choir is accompanied by Tambra Stuckey. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment the class of 2024 has been waiting for. We're going to do the presentation of diplomas as soon as our Board of Education accepts the class. So joining me is Mr. Jeff Welker, Vice President of the USD 311 Board of Education. Mr. Welker, I present to you the senior class of 2024, who have completed all education requirements set by the state of Kansas and USD 311.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. I am honored to represent the USD 311 Board of Education, and it is my honor and my privilege to accept the class of 2024 from Pretty Prairie High School as its newest graduates.
The members of our senior class chose teachers, coaches, or family members to present their diplomas to them. So I'd like to invite all of our official diploma presenters to stand and join us at the podium at this time. Yes. Will the front row please rise? Micah Page Lyon. Noah Tyler Perry. Bo Scott Berry. Colby James Collins. Jolie Jennings Harbaugh. Ty Allen Brunn. Marcus Cooper Smith. William Gage Bowers. Blaine Thomas Rogers. Braden Michael Teagarden. Leah Grace Detter. Will our second row please rise? Memphis Dean Eggers. Tate Michael Stuckey. Tegan K. Rooney. Sarah Elizabeth Ulrich. James Lowell White III. Justin Matthew Anders. Caden Edward Smith. Brogan James Stuckey. Hazen Kincaid Willis. Caleb Allen Zimmerman. Cale Joseph Johnson. While Cale's returning to his seat, the seniors have asked me to share with you that they will have a reception in our middle school gym and a slideshow in the auditorium following the ceremony. Okay, will the whole class rise as Cale's coming back? You may now move your tassels to the left. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to present to you the 109th graduating class of Pretty Prairie High School, our class of 2024. Congratulations.